Alright. We are back with more Chaos Head Noah. Well, tomorrow, or I should say, I guess, Thursday morning. Yeah, this morning, I guess I'll say. I was supposed to have an appointment, but they canceled on me. Had to be delayed for like 3 weeks. So that's annoying. That's annoying, but whatever. It is what it is. So I wasn't going to stream today because I had to get ready. I wanted to go to sleep because I had to wake up early to get ready for the appointment. But since there's no appointment tomorrow, I was like, fuck it. We're just gonna continue. So where did we leave off? We found out about, well, we didn't really find out a lot about Yua, but we know that she wasn't what she was saying she was. Not entirely, anyway. For some reason, I don't think she never actually like told us why she was focused on him, but she was on Taku, and she found out some things because she went through his, well, not his computer, but the computer that he used when he was at cafe. And according to the timestamps that we were shown, it seems that apparently Shogun, the person whose username is Shogun, is actually Taku, because it was sent at the time that he was there at that PC, and she found the cache on that PC. So, and they showed what was it, that Sunday? Or, well, it wasn't that Sunday. That was like a few weeks ago, I think. But on the Sunday when he spoke to Shogun and saw that picture, apparently it looked like he wasn't, there was no response from Shogun. It was just him talking to himself. And then the next day, you saw the links from Shogun at the different time. So that didn't make any sense. And so he went to a hospital, the same one that he went to as a kid. They touched on, apparently I don't know if it was he did like some kind of prediction where he knew the bus was gonna crash, or is it more like he willed it? Like he willed it to happen. Because I'm reading this again on the screen, and one part of it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really understand it. If you are God and the delusion becomes reality, about what kind of the noise you get. That sounds weird. I think actually that might be one of those weird translations. I suspect that if I used the patch that everyone is saying that you should use it, well, I already got into it before, but I'm not gonna use it while I'm streaming it because I'm nervous about what might come up. This would probably be something that gets fixed or changed, I guess. Because about what kind of the noise you get, like, what the hell does that mean? Did they mean to write it exactly like that, or is that like some weird translation thing? Then it says, is it the sensual world, the despotic society, the destructive sanctions, or ... Interesting. So, yeah, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be where he was able to see the future and his feelings just aligned with what he saw, or if he actually made it happen for real. Maybe this whole thing about him being a god of the world, maybe it's not that far from the actual truth. We're gonna see. But he went to the went to the hospital because he basically said that he wanted the doctor to check him out and tell him that he was fine. Then we had two really crazy delusions, where one was the doctor telling him that he never left the hospital for 7 years. I was kind of flipping out on that one. It's so funny because it's like, I know it's a delusion, so it's not actually happening, but at the same time, I'm like, what if it did? But it didn't. I was thinking, like, did I just hit an ending? I don't know if there's like surprise endings depending on what you pick, but I was getting that vibe like, oh shit, did I just hit a surprise ending? But we did it. It kept going. And then the other one, which I think was even worse, holy shit, it was with Sarah. I picked green because I foolishly thought maybe green was safer. It wasn't. I mean, if green was that crazy, I don't know what the fuck red is supposed to be. But that's part of the fun, right? So he was released from the hospital. Hopefully the quick save is good. It should be. I hope. We're gonna find out now. But let's jump into it. Enough with the recap. Let's see what other craziness we're gonna run into. 148. Was that it? Or was it this? Wait, did the quick save not... Bro, I think the quick save didn't, like, hold. Shit. It didn't hold. Why didn't the quick save hold? I did a quick save. It should have... That fucking sucks. Yeah, 148. Alright, I'm gonna have to do this one again. I could probably just skip it. Fuck, what did I pick? Let me see. Okay, is that what I picked? You know what? I'm gonna pick the top one, because if he has a if he even had a number, he would definitely prefer texting over calling. So I'm just gonna say yes. Tinnitus, I think, is the thing with the sound. It's like the ringing sound. He had that once. Alright, we're just gonna go with this. It's probably about what I picked before. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Alright, how do I skip? Skip mode RB. Oh, it doesn't... It didn't even register that I saw these already. Whatever. I just... Medicine. Yep. Okay, it was here. Why the fuck did... Like, I remember I hit the quick save and it did that. Why didn't it work? That's bullshit. Alright. For real now. This is it for real. By the time I got back to Shibuya, it was evening. The hospital itself was in Shibuya Ward, and the closest station was Yoyogi. Taking the train was the fastest way to get there and back. The Yamanote line was as crowded as ever, though, and riding just 2 stations was enough to make me feel exhausted. I didn't think it was up for getting on another train, so I decided to walk from Shibuya Station to the base. There were just too many people at the stations. I hated crowds. They always made me feel like I was going to pass out. I didn't want to spend any more time there than I had to, so I quickly tried to get across Scramble Crossing. Scramble Crossing, I think it's that famous, is that famous crosswalk that you always see? It's like the really big one. And when the lights are like, when the cars stop and the people can go and they just start crossing everywhere. If you've seen anything Japanese, whether it's like an anime that is like in Shibuya or like Persona 5 even, because I think you've seen it in Persona 5 too. You know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I think that's what it is. That area was so packed it was hard to even walk in a straight line. If you didn't keep a steady forward pace, you'd run into the people walking beside you or get hit from behind. There were also people blocking your path, trying to hand you packs of tissues with ads on them. They'd even force them into your pocket. That's fucking crazy. I ignored the first one, but the second was a cute lady, so I took some from her. These these tissue people were just the worst. They shouldn't have been allowed to stand in the middle of the sidewalk like that. I took the tissues anyway, though, since they were free. Like that, yeah, that's an actual thing. I don't know if they still do that, but it's just like they said, it's a little tissue thing. It's cheap as hell, and they just have little advertisements from the establishment that they work at. It's almost like flyers, but instead of a waste, it's actually useful because, you know, we can always use tissues, right? I know I always have to fucking use them with my sinuses. I looked at the tissues I'd been given. This pack came with a small flyer with white text on a red background. It was a pretty weird color combination, kind of spooky. It wasn't a combination you saw often, that much I was sure of. I read the flyer as I walked along. This actually kind of looks like a real picture instead of like a drawing or something. It was a flyer for a blood donation service. As I looked at it, I thought back to the worksheet I'd been given at the hospital. Shit. Which one is it? It's this one. There is a shortage of type B blood. There is currently a serious shortage of type B blood in Shibuya. We may no longer be able to deliver blood to all the patients that need it, and people may die. Without your blood donation, he will not survive. Please come to the blood donation center. Something, Kashira Line building. There's a flyer for a blood donation service. As I looked at it, I thought back to the worksheet I'd been given at the hospital. I hadn't seen anything like it when I'd gone there 4 years ago. Maybe it was some kind of new diagnostic that had only gotten popular over the last few years. But still, I felt like I'd seen it before. Deja vu, again. It felt like that was happening all the time lately. It was really creepy when your body and mind refused to do what you wanted them to. So I tried to dig through my memories to find out what was going on with this deja vu. My mother used to take me to the hospital about once a week. No matter what they asked, I'd never respond. I just moved my head up and down or side to side. At first, they saw me in a normal exam room, but when I showed no signs of recovery, they started sending me someplace different. The other place was some kind of counseling room. It had a sofa and lots of stuffed animals. It seemed to have been decorated with the aim of putting the patient at ease. Dr. Takashina never blamed anybody. He just kept trying to make me better. He was the only one who figured out that I could speak, but just didn't want to say anything. My mother would always talk to me in a deliberately chipper voice. Dr. Takashina would always welcome me with a bright smile. The nurses were always kind too. And it felt to me like there had always been somebody else in that room. The dark suit guy? Also, that's his mom. On the left. Yeah, you can tell. She's like kind of fancy the way she's dressed, and she has gloves on. Like, what kind of... Like, only rich people wear gloves like that. Right, he was always wearing a dark black suit. It was a weird outfit to see in a hospital. He was just as quiet as I was. I don't think I ever heard him talk. I never did figure out who he was. He didn't feel like a doctor. He always just stood off to the side looking out the window. I always called him Mr. Nozomi. He'd never actually given me his name, though.
Nozomi.
Nozomi. The man in the suit always wore a small badge. It read Nozomi. It looked like a logo of some kind, so it probably wasn't a name tag. Yeah, the worksheet had the Nozomi logo on it, too. No wonder I thought I'd seen it somewhere before. I felt a little better now that the mystery was solved. Is it? What does it mean for him to be there? And in the fucking exam room? Like, who is this guy in the exam room? Is there no HIPAA violation going on here? What was Nozomi, though? It was clearly the name of some kind of company. Well, I know that, it's a Japanese story, so... I mean, whatever the Japanese version of HIPAA is, I mean, I'm sure they have one, right?
のぞみさんっていう美人女社長が設立したカウンターテロ組織とか、漫画みたいだ。
Yeah, why not? When I got back to the base, I ran a search for Nozomi, but it was just a common word that meant wish in Japanese too, so there were too many results to narrow down. Thinking back, the logical assumption was that Mr. Nozomi worked for a company that made those worksheets, and was a salesman that had been visiting the hospital. Yeah, so why would he be in the room with you? Sometime recently, he'd finally managed to sell the hospital and using the sheets, and today I'd been asked to fill one of them out. No, wait, that was impossible. I'd never heard of a salesman or somebody on the outside being allowed to sit in on a patient's sessions. Yeah, that's kind of fucking crazy. Just who was that guy? Crap. Now I had another nagging memory to deal with. At least I'd figured out where the deja vu was coming from. I decided that next week I would ask the doctor about my memories. Until then, I'd forget about school and just stay in my room. Oh, you don't have to go into school this week? I couldn't go to school if there was someone there trying to hurt me. I didn't want to break my schedule, but it wouldn't do me any good if I was dead. Oh man, he's gotta flip around the whole fucking schedule now. You gotta make up for it, man. I gave up on my search for Nozomi and went to @channel to see if there were any interesting threads. 633, name Anonymous this afternoon. It's the new generation madness and I can't bear it. Nude Gen 1 at Group Dive. Nude Gen 2 at Pregnant Man. Nude Gen 3 at Crucified. Nude Gen question mark at To Be Continued. Gwa. The news board was filled with nothing but new generation madness threads. Even the ESO board had a recreate the new gen murders in ESO thread going. I was getting sick of it. When I logged into ESO, Grim was there. @chance news boards have been boring as hell lately. It's all new gen crap. Well, it's the biggest story right now. Every time there's a new case, it's a big festival. Everybody goes crazy. Where's his Halo? He made a big deal about how he got the Halo, and what was it, like a 0.00001% chance of getting it? Where does Halo go? They haven't caught the killer yet? Well, the cops are morons, lol. Some idiots have even decided that it's actually a cute moe girl. That demon girl. Visions of the dark eyes of the girl I'd seen during the crucifixion killing came back to me, and I shivered. And he actually typed the demon girl. Did he tell Grim about this? I didn't want to remember it at all. But the slightest little thing in the memories came flooding back. I'd seen the killer's face. I knew who she was. Should I have told the cops? But I didn't want to get involved. Demon girl? Is that the latest variation? That's going a little too far. Anyway, New Gen is just fascinating stuff. I joined a New Gen community on Furepada. You're getting too into it. The only ones in our guild who aren't into it are you and Big Sis Gagey. Gah, seriously? If that was true, then I wouldn't be able to keep up with the discussion in our chat channel. New Gen's just really messed up stuff. It's crazy to read about. And why is Big Sis Gagey not into it either? I knew you were into girl stuff. But don't tell me you're the kind of guy who wants to see art in his murders. That crucified corpse was such a mess. I thought it was some kind of art piece for a minute. If you wanted to call it artwork, I guess you could. Now, it'd be better if they had some perverted sexual element to them, right? It's like the ultimate kind of S&M. This guy's a goner. Somebody needs to do something about him. Once you lose your virginity, you'll understand. So you're telling me you're not a virgin? Oh, eh? Eh? You're not a virgin. You traitor, Orts. What's this? Oh, there's festival too. A state of extreme excitement on 8chan, with countless threads being started and quickly filled to capacity. Orts, an emoji that shows a person dropped on all fours in a depressed state. The O. Oh! Interesting. The O is the head, the R is the hands and torso, and the Z is the legs. Usually used to indicate depression, failure, or giving up. The phrase has no set pronunciation. Some people are pronouncing it as ors, others ors, and others calling it the depression slump. I didn't even realize it. You traitor, orts. Anyway, shit, I keep forgetting which one. There's some kind of stuff on the aggregator sites. Take a look sometime. Ugh, I didn't want to look at them. They scared me. I wanted to run away from the fact that I'd been at the murder scene. That's why I'd cut myself off from all information about New Gen. That was how I'd hoped I could convince myself that it was all just a delusion. But in ESO, I was practically a god. It wasn't enough to be strong. I had to know everything. Especially since I was kind of a leader in the guild. If I was supposed to be the leader, I didn't even keep... But I couldn't even keep up with whatever everyone was talking about. It would just be embarrassing. This guy is something else. I had to avoid that. I went to the address that Grim gave me. Uh-oh. The top banner read, New Gen Aggregator in big letters. Aggregator sites were a kind of wiki, where any number of people could add information to articles about a certain topic. Wiki, a system which lets anyone write hypertext on a web server using a browser. A New Gen aggregator site would have information about New Gen, constantly updated by different users. Some of that information wasn't trustworthy in the slightest, and sometimes there were trolls, but if you wanted an easy way to get a handle on the basic facts of something, it was good. There were always tons of links, for one thing. Decided to start with an article called The Case So Far. My pulse started to quicken. Just reading the site was enough to make me nervous. I could feel the sweat forming on my hands. New Gen. It's interesting how they have like a different way of spelling it. Let's see. New Gen headlines. Let's read this. The earthquake 2 months ago. 3 bizarre incidents in a row. Body nailed to concrete wall. Alright, so they did find it. Neighbors heard sound of a nail being pounded in. Different killer for each. Crucified, pregnant man. Oh yeah, that was the one that they found the baby in the stomach. Group dive. Victim was 56-year-old college professor. The third one? The crucified one? Bro. Bro. Right here. I'm not gonna say any more. I think we all know what this word means. Okay? And that's it. The earthquake 2 months ago. One name. On behalf of Anonymous, 2 months ago there was an Intensity 3 earthquake in Shibuya. The 8 dead were... ... The first case, the one they called group dive, was when a group of 5 boys and girls from a high school had all jumped off a building. It happened on September 7th, about a month ago. It was in the middle of the night, at a place called Shibuya Cornelius Tower. The 5 had jumped off the building's helipad and died instantly on impact. Holy shit. The autopsy showed that each of them had DNA belonging to someone else under their nails. And there were scratch marks found too. It was theorized from this that the 5 of them must have jumped off while holding hands. There was no sign of any kind of suicide note left on the roof. Below the summary was some information added by some internet detective. These types were often referred to as snakes, who'd actually gone to Cornelius Tower. Snake? Snake? Snake! I probably won't do that again. The name of a protagonist from a popular series of stealth action games. Oh, look at that. Online, the word was used to refer to people who would perform anonymous or top secret investigations for the benefit of netizens. Sometimes this was referred to as going snaking. I never heard of that before. I like it. Going snaking. According to him, the roof was off limits to visitors, and the door to it was kept locked at all times. Of course, it was locked at the time of the jump, too. None of the deceased had a key on their bodies when they'd been found. This meant that the helipad was, in a way, a locked route, like you saw in murder mysteries. There was nothing to suggest how the 5 of them had gotten up there. It was entirely likely that someone else had been there as well. The second case, the pregnant man, happened on September 19th, around 12 days after the first. Early in the morning, near Shibuya Station underpass, a college student was walking home from karaoke when they found a blood-stained man collapsed on the ground. The collapsed man was a university student who lived in Shibuya Ward named Chizuo Konoe, age 21. He was dead when he was found, but he had an unnatural bulge in his stomach. The autopsy showed that someone had opened up his chest, shoved a newborn baby into his stomach, and then sewn him back up. That's fucking insane. In addition, DNA analysis had shown that there was no relation between the baby and the man. He was, according to reports, unmarried and had no girlfriend. The rest of it was internet speculation, but the baby appeared to be in the 32nd week of pregnancy, which would mean it was probably removed from the mother by C-section. Who the mother was, though, or where she was, or what she was doing, or even if she was alive or dead, none of that was known. It was possible that the cops knew, but if they did, they weren't talking. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. I looked away from the monitor, feeling like I was about to throw up. This was disgusting. Killer was insane. I knew that for sure, and it was also possible that girl had been behind these horrible murders. Well, Japan screwed! Nothing matters anymore. I took a moment to gaze at my beautiful Seda-tan. Looking at her helped calm me down. I thought about taking the sedatives the doctor had given me, but for now, Seda-tan was good enough. Still, though, I had to do it to keep up Nightheart's reputation as a leader, but reading these hurt. Am I a Delulu again?
そんなに辛いならさ、読まなくていいって。
Don't read them.
タッキーがド M ってんなら別に止めないけど。
I have a suspicion that he might be, actually.
辛そうなタッキーは見てられないさ。もうやめよう。楽しいことだけしてようよ。いつもみたく、私にハーハーしてもいいからさ。
Oh my fucking god, bro. Oh, how generous. How generous of you, Seda-tan. Seda-tan was such a nice girl. That is definitely one way to say it. She was my only true ally, my wife. I put my elbow on the table and rested my head in my hand. taking deep breaths as I stared at Seda-tan's smile. Phew, I felt so much better. Maybe I could read a little more if I took breaks to glance over at Seda-tan. I decided to give it a try. Why had these two seemingly separate incidents both been given the label New Generation Madness? The group dive was treated as just a suicide at first. But after the pregnant man case, the net started taking another look at the group dive and found out how many strange elements there were to the case. Speculation began that it was actually a murder, not a suicide. Supposedly, the parents of the dead kids and their friends all said there was no way they could have killed themselves. Since both the cases were in Shibuya, a traditional center for young people, the news started calling it the madness created by the new generation of youth, and then simply the New Generation Madness. The name stuck. And then there was the third case, the crucified murder, they were calling it. That was the one I'd seen. The aggregator site didn't have much information on the case because it was so new. The murdered man was Hisa Ota, 56-year-old college professor. He'd been nailed with stakes to the concrete wall of an empty house. Starting at 8 o'clock p.m., the estimated time of the crime, neighbors heard what sounded like something hammering a nail. The sound lasted for approximately an hour. I'd heard that sound too. I could still hear it. It was an awful sound. For what it was worth, no connection had been found between it and the group dive or the pregnant man. But after these three bizarre incidents in the same city of Shibuya, everyone naturally treated the crucified murder as a third part of the New Generation Madness. The media and police were saying that all three were committed by different individuals, but the position, or rather hope, of most people online was that it was a single person, or failing that, a single group. There were some bizarre theories involving the occult going around too, and some people were saying New Gen got its start in the earthquake 2 months ago. 2 months ago, there had been an Intensity 3 earthquake in Shibuya. An Intensity 3 quake was small enough that you could be walking down the street and not feel it. But despite the small size of the quake, it made the news because 8 people had died. Looking back, it was true that the New Gen incidents had started after the earthquake. So the proponents of the occult theory were saying that the 8 deaths in the earthquake could be counted as the first New Gen case. Sometimes they get into arguments with the more mainstream New Gen theorists. No matter who was behind it, it was bizarre that 3 such incidents could happen without a single clue as to who was behind it. A lot of people online were eagerly awaiting a 4th incident too. That's crazy. Eagerly? They're eager to wait for a 4th one? That's what the to be continued is? That's crazy. If I wasn't directly involved, I might have been all... what the fuck is that word again? Hopeful and excited. I don't know how to say it. Wiktik? Wiktik? Should I just say Wiktik? I'm going to say Wiktik. I might have been all Wiktik myself, participating in the festival and eagerly waiting for a 4th incident too. Hey, pigeons! Yeah, can you believe it? Imagine eagerly awaiting for someone else to die horribly. Damn it, they were all having so much fun when I was feeling miserable. Fun? Brother.
犯人を早く捕まえてくれよ。
Why can't you just catch the guy already? It'd just been over a week since Crucified, and there'd been nothing from the demon girl or the police. If they knew I was there, at a minimum the police would have come to talk to me, but there was no sign of them. Phew, it looked like I was going to be able to stay out of this and not get involved.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
Can you? Yua's words flashed before my mind.
予知能力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
Just when I was about to finally relax, I suddenly found myself feeling awful again. The photos that Shogun had sent me, they were still stored on my computer. Oh, fuck. Everything Yua had said was just a figment of her own delusions. It was crazy. It wasn't even a real theory. I hadn't been able to ask about it at the hospital, but there was no way I could have been someplace else while I was awake, doing something I didn't remember. It was impossible. It had never happened before, for one thing. Those girl photos had to be fake.
だったらさ、合成だって証拠を見つけちゃえばいいさ。
Oh god, this is how it starts.
あの画像解析しちゃおうよ。
But they're creepy and I don't really want to look at them.
あの女を論破しちゃえば、タッキーはもう怯えることなく平穏な生活に戻れるんだよ。
There's some kind of twisted truth to what she's saying, I guess.
やるしかないっしょ。
Oh no, it's gonna actually happen, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yua seemed convinced that I was the one behind Crucified. That was impossible. I'd seen the person who actually done it. I couldn't let her blame me for the crime. I gulped and double-clicked to open the folder where my cash was stored. Oh god, here we go. Wait, what's this? Yasuji Ban entered the big conference hall at the Shibuya police station for the first time in 3 days. Yasuji Ban, is this a detective? The conference for what was being called the Maruyamacho crucifixion murder had already begun, and some of the officers were glaring at him for being late. Ban forced a weak smile at them before sitting down. Telling them he'd been in the toilet, throwing up, didn't seem like it would suit the current mood of the room. They'd assembled a task force to handle the Maruyama crucifixion murder the morning after the incident. Between the Cornelius Tower Group suicide and the Shibuya Station area man-baby murder cases, the police force was already stretched thin. So even Ban, a nobody lieutenant from Section 1 of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police, had been sent in to help out the Shibuya ward cops. So he's all the way from Tokyo. Since all 3 cases had happened in the jurisdiction of the Shibuya police, there was now a highly unusual situation. 3 different special task forces at a single station. Because of this, the team had to take turns scheduling their day in the big conference room. Since the media kept calling it the New Generation Madness, there was a rumor going around that they were going to resolve the shortage of officers by bringing all 3 together under a New Gen Special Task Force. All of the officers thought it was a stupid idea, but that didn't mean it wouldn't happen.
警部補、君の報告を。
Captain Matsunaga was Ban's boss, and the leader of the task force. He glanced sharply at Ban. But Ban didn't notice. He took a deep breath while waving a paper fan at his face.
警部補、バン警部補、聞いているのか？
呼ばれてるっすよ。バンさんの報告待ちなんすから。ちょっと。
This guy was at the school. That was him, right? Taku thought he was a teacher. So does that mean that they suspect? They suspect that it's a Suimei student already? Only when Ban's partner, a rookie detective named Suwa, whispered to him did he realize he was being called on.
すんません。
報告は諏訪から。
Bro, he looks like just a stereotypical drunk detective. The loosened tie, the open collar, the fucking 5 o'clock shadow, the unkempt hair. He looks like a dime a dozen veteran detective, like drinking on the job. I bet you he drinks. He definitely drinks.
自分っすか？
俺がいなくても報告しとけって言っといたろうが。早くしろ。
After a sharp elbow. Excuse me. After a sharp elbow from his older partner, suicide and stood up.
犯行現場近くの監視カメラの解析がようやく出たっす。出ました。犯行時間に不審な人物が映ってました。
Bro, are they gonna think that it's Taku? Murmurs broke out in the room. The air instantly became tense. The detectives from the Shibuya police all began to scribble down notes, careful not to miss anything he said. They were desperate to solve this case. There had been 2 brutal murders. The group dive was still classified as a suicide, in the span of a single month in their district. They needed to catch the person responsible, and now, even if it meant dropping their usual stoic demeanor.
プロジェクターに映像を出します。
Bro, is it gonna be Taku? Suwa put up an image up on the projector screen, just like Bon had told him to do before they'd started. It showed a narrow, dirty back alley in Maru Yamacho. It was night, and there were few lights, so it was hard to see much of anything at all.
犯行現場から約50メートル離れたところにあるコインパーキングの監視カメラです。
50 meters. That's, It would probably take you like 20 seconds if you sprinted that direction. I don't know, it depends. The parking lot was a tiny one. Like, if you watched Attack on Titan, you remember the Colossal Titan? Those are 50 meters. So imagine a Colossal Titan laying down. That's how far away it is. The parking lot was a tiny one, with no more than 2 spaces. It was located on a tiny strip of land crammed between buildings. From here, you couldn't see the crime scene. You could barely see the road in front of it. It showed the road a street away from where the killing took place. There was no audio on it either. The footage had a timestamp in the bottom right. It read 21:34, which is 9:34. Bro, it's Taku. Oh, fuck. Bro, it's Taku. They saw Taku.
犯行現場近隣の住民の証言により、21時過ぎから21時半頃まで釘を打ちつける音がしていたというのはご承知の通りだと思いますが、この映像は21時34分、つまりまさに犯行時間直後ということになります。不審人物が映っているのは21時34分53秒からおよそ6秒間です。駐車場の前の道を奥から手前へと走り抜けていきます。
Oh no! It's Taku! Oh shit! They were looking for Taku. Just then, a person appeared on the screen. They were running toward the camera in a clearly disturbed manner. The camera's resolution was low enough that it was hard to immediately tell if the person was male or female, but Bond had already spoken to the science lab and had them analyze it.
科捜研で解析した結果、映っている人物は男。年齢は10代後半から20代とのことっす。
Late teens to 20s.
人相の判別までは無理でした。服装がかなり特徴的ですが、これは小島にある私立水明学園の男子制服と分かりました。
Oh shit, yep, that's why he was there.
それと、右手に注目してもらいたいんですが
It's because he had the fucking stake in his hand. Oh no. The image changed to a close-up of the person's hand. It was holding something.
スローで再生するとわかるが、走りながら腕を振っている際、この握りしめている何かが駐車場の照明に反射して光を放ってるんだな、これが。
When it was time to reveal the big discovery, Bond took over.
形状からして犯行に使われた十字架型の杭である可能性がある。
He really just came in and took the... He wanted to say the bigger part for himself. What a fuck. More murmurs from the detectives. The killer behind the crucified murder might be a teenager. That was a shock. Maybe the media's new generation madness was more than just a catchy slogan.
最も犯人に近い人物がこの少年だということか。
そういうことになりますね。
Bond stroked his unshaven chin. It was a habit of his. Whenever he got a step closer to finding a criminal, he'd run his fingers through the stubble and enjoy his victory.
以上です。
So aside and sat down.
ひどいっすよ先輩。美味しいところ持ってって。
He took the best part. Yeah. Bond ignored Suo's complaints and stared at the image of the teenage boy on the projector.
ようやく尻尾を出したんだ。そいつを掴んで離さねえようにしないとな。
They fucking got something. Machine settings. Internet cache. Oh shit. Alright, I'm about to get ads. So we're gonna run those and then we'll continue. That was a really fast 3 minutes. Alright, we're back. Are all of these pictures from Shogun? What is it? 3, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 45? Bro, 45? Is it 45? Yeah. No, not 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 35. 35 pictures that we see here. And are all of them like different murders? Holy shit, this is bad. I found the image Shogun sent me in my cache folder. It was a JPEG numbered 168491. So the one that he has the cursor on. Okay. There was still a big part of me that didn't want to look at it. I mean, it was disgusting. If I looked at it, I was sure to remember the scene as it was in the real world. No, but if I was going to prove you were wrong and prove my innocence and that I was safe, I would need proof. Seida-tan was here to help too. I could handle a little gore. I worked up the courage and double-clicked on the file to open it. Oof. Yeah, it was all gory, alright. But compared to what I'd seen in the real world, it wasn't that bad. And it was a fake, too, right? I could handle it. The first time I looked at it, I'd only taken a quick glance before closing it. I hadn't looked at it the whole image from top to bottom. This time I was able to take a closer look, even if I had to suppress the urge to vomit. I didn't know how to tell if an image was fake. Did you look at the direction of the shadows, the background, things like that, and see if anything was wrong? It seemed to me the most likely possibility was that they'd taken a photo of the alley first, and then added in the staked corpse later. And then, the day after Shogun sent this to me, they'd carried out the murder, just like in the photo. Because of the darkness and the low resolution of the photo, I couldn't tell much about the body. Only the stakes were clearly visible. The light was focused on the area surrounding the corpse, as if that was the only thing they wanted the viewer to see. It felt like whoever had taken the picture had framed it like that deliberately. There was no way the light shining on the body and nowhere else was a coincidence. Or maybe it was a coincidence? I hadn't gotten a clear look at the screen when I was there for real, so I couldn't say for sure. At the scene, not the screen, at the scene. The demon girl wasn't in the picture. But if you stared at the picture until you thought your eyes would bleed, you can make out what looked like a person in the darkness on the left edge. Where? I almost missed it. Between the low resolution and how they were standing in the shadows, they were almost impossible to spot. On my first glance, I missed them completely. I don't think I see it. Is my screen too dark? This was a doctored photo. Or it should have been. So maybe the person who took it let themselves get photographed by accident? And forgot to delete it when they added in the corpse. They were wearing a Suime uniform. It must have been that demon girl then. She wore one too. But the person in the photo seemed to have short hair. Demon girl had long hair. So did Yua. I decided to use image processing software to make it easier to see. I booted up the software and dragged the image on top of it. Then I gulped before going into the level adjustment slider in the menu. I made the photo brighter and... Thank you, Charlie. Nice timing. Very nice timing. Bro. What the fuck? What was this? The person in the photo. The person in the photo was, without question, why me? This made no sense. I'd never even been there until September 29th. This was fake too. It had to be. I couldn't find any evidence of it at all, but it was definitely fake. It had to be. Shogun had sent it to me on the 28th, and the crucified killing had happened on the 29th. If this photo showed what happened on the 29th, it would be a photo of the future. No, this isn't the time travel game. The time travel game is the next one. It can't be this.
あなたには予知能力がありますか?
Can you see the future? I kicked an empty plastic bottle at my feet and shut down the image program. I opened up the properties menu to see when this JPEG file was created, and then I gasped. It had been created on the 28th. But that didn't matter now. There was something written in the comment section of the properties window. That's what my eyes were glued to. Is it gonna be whose eyes are those? Whatever it was that they say it? Whose eyes are those? Bro! What the fuck does that mean? I slammed my fingers down on the keyboard before pushing it to the side of the desk and cradling my head in my hands. I tried to stop myself from crying. What the hell had been going on this whole week? Why was all of this happening to me? Wait a second. Say Shogun had gotten a photo of me from somewhere and used it to put me into this girl photo. That would mean they'd either taken the photo of me themselves well before the murder, or gotten a photo of me from some other place. Given that they'd come into the chat room out of nowhere and started talking as soon as Grimm left, they were either after me from the start. They were after me from the start. Maybe Shogun knew who I was then. But then what? Okay. Say that that's what it was. When was it where you were running like that? Like you were running away in terror? Like what other time was there where you were running away like terror like that, where he could then grab that image and then superimpose it on the picture? If he did, there was no telling when he or the demon girl would attack the base. And then they'd kidnap me. I felt the prickling on the back of my neck. That gaze again. I was being watched by someone. Don't look at me. I refused to look behind me. Time for the I'm not turning around so easily game. I was shaking with terror. I wanted to go check the lock on the door, but if I looked around, I'd lose. I stubbornly stared at the monitor instead. To calm myself, I opened up a word processor program and typed the thoughts that came to me.
きっとそうに決まってる。
Demon girl equals murderer, can see the future. Shogun equals working for the demon girl. Yua equals working for Shogun. As I stared, quivering at the word demon, I started to wonder if the girl I'd seen at the murder scene really was one. Yeah, she wasn't human. That had to be it. Maybe that's how she was able to see the future. Her demon powers would let her create a photo of what was going to happen. That would explain how she could do that terrible crucified murder all by herself, too. And Shogun worked for her. What was that? They knew I was going to witness the crime by accident, so they sent me the image in advance. I didn't know why. Maybe it was a threat. If you tell anyone, this is what will happen to you next. Or maybe it was a warning. A death sentence, telling me that I'd be next, if that was the case. What was that? Well, that wasn't just me, right? That definitely showed up. What the fuck was that black cut real quick?
勝てるわけがない。僕は奴らにいつ殺されてもおかしくないんだ。
Oh, we're Yua now. Yua Kusunoki was staring at the computer in her room. What is that poster? Angela Lirva. Huh. She's got a cute desk. That's nice. Yua Kusunoki was staring at the computer in her room. She had a serious look on her face, and she was quickly reading through the information on her screen. Eventually, she let out a small sigh and took her hand off the mouse, before looking over at the piece of paper in front of her. It was a printout of the chat log between Shogun and Nightheart, the same as the one she'd shown Takumi Nishijo yesterday. Yeah, look at that.
西条くん
She whispered his name. Images of him sitting alone on the bench in Shoto Park came back to her. She shook her head as if trying to drive them away. And then suddenly, she gasped and turned around.
今誰かに見られていたような
Oh, wow, it seems like that's going around, huh? It's not just him? Her own gaze was locked on the big GERO FROGGY plush that lay on her bed. How big is it? It must have been her imagination, she decided. She stood up, walked over to the bed, and fell onto it face first. The sheets smelled like a sunny day. Her mom must have dried them outside this afternoon. As she buried her face in the pleasant scent, she looked around the room. Her room was kept neat and clean, a sign of her slightly obsessive personality. The largest object in the room was a huge bookshelf, packed tight from corner to corner with books. But what made it kind of cute was the The bottom was stuffed with complicated technical and computer books, but the top was filled with shoujo manga and anime DVDs. Nice. She let out another sigh and looked up at the ceiling.
DID.
Dissociative identity disorder? Dissociative identity disorder, aka multiple personalities. A state where one person has multiple different personalities inside them. Here, personality is defined as a continuous state of being aware of oneself and one's surroundings, with the ability to think and act. In other words, humans construct a self by being aware of continuous time and the consistency of their actions and surroundings. People with this disorder switch personalities without warning, with psychological/social stress and environmental factors commonly serving as triggers. A characteristic of the disorder is that sufferers are rarely aware of the memories created when another personality was in charge. The disorder manifests at an early age, but is sometimes not discovered clinically. Once it occurs, it often becomes chronic, and childhood abuse or trauma are often seen in advance of developing the disorder. The term multiple personality disorder is an older term used in the 1980 DSM-3, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, produced by the American Psychiatric Association. The 1994 DM-4 version, as well as later editions, do not use the term. So why is she bringing that up? Oh, this is just the same thing that we already read. She whispered the name of the mental health condition she'd been researching. She had an explanation of it pulled up on the monitor.
辛いんですね。
She gave the stuffed GERO Froggy on her lap a tight squeeze and thought about Takumi.
でも、私、
And then her expression went blank. She gritted her teeth hard. Does she have DID? Is that what's going on here? It hurt to breathe. All I was doing was looking up some stuff on the computer, but I could feel my heart pounding far faster than normal. The sensation that something was watching me just wouldn't go away. I was still restraining the urge to turn around, but I wouldn't be able to do it much longer. I yelled at the something. Was the something the demon girl? No way, right? Was she watching me with some kind of demonic psychic power like clairvoyance? Clairvoyance, also called farseeing, the ability to see what's happening in a location where you aren't physically present. A clairvoyant person can see things that would normally be impossible to observe, either due to distance, the viewing angle, or the presence of obstructions. The prickling on my neck only got more intense. It was turning into a sensation like a faint electric shock. I was starting to sweat hard. My t-shirt was soaked. I finally gave in and turned around, but all I saw was my room. Nothing unusual at all. I let out a scream, then stood up to make sure the door was locked. When I saw that it was, I felt a little better. I wiped the sweat off my brow with the bottom of my shirt. Oh my goodness. Then I went back to my PC and stared at the monitor again. I'd been reading up about how psychics could supposedly see the future. Future sight. The ability to see the future, but I pressed the wrong one. Oh wait, I read this too. This is in the tips. On the monitor again, I've been reading up how psychic. When I was a kid, I was absolutely sure that powers like that existed. To be honest, I still kind of believed it. That was the reason I'd immediately thought that the image the demon girl and Shogun sent was from the future, and why I'd felt I had to look it up. Maybe there were psychics who could see the future everywhere, and I just didn't know. It. I'd done something kind of similar when I was a kid with the bus accident, so I couldn't be sure it was impossible, right? But the more I looked into it, though, the more it all seemed like a bunch of bullshit, either occult stuff or magic tricks. There wasn't any scientific proof that they existed, but there was no proof that they didn't exist either.
一つぐらいあってもいいだろう。
I got even more annoyed and slammed my fingers down on the keys. The fact that everything was so vague made me feel scared and uneasy. Was I supposed to just keep waiting, spending every day in fear of a demon who might never come? My mind couldn't handle that. Of course, what I wanted was proof that it was impossible to see the future. But either way, I wanted a solid answer. My last hope was at Chan's occult board. That place was filled with useless trash, lies and fakes, but sometimes there was amazing info just lying there. I opened the page for Ad Channel, trying to stay calm. Oh shit. I opened the page for Ad Channel, trying to stay calm. I went to the occult board and ran a search for Future Sight. And then... Future Sight and Prophecies. Yashi. Net slang for guy... Well, let's read this first. Future Sight and Prophecies. Phantasm General New Gen 4383. I don't know what that means. Half-assed Prophecies About Japan's Future Part 6, 182. Number of guys who want FES, the psychic princess, to step on them. FES was that girl. I actually wrote it down. The short, white-haired girl. We saw her, I think... Was she on the bridge? Was she singing? That's her. So she's a psychic? And apparently she has a lot of people that want her to step on them. Savior, talking about FES's prophecies. Phantasm 277. Bull, Phantasm haters thread 11. Shit. 431. I don't know what that means. What do you guys think about Phantasm songs? Phantasm are murderers who fake prophecies. Part 5. If you really had a prophetic dream, post here. Going to hear FES's prophecies offline. Part 3. Okay. Yashi. Net slang for guy or dude. The Japanese word for guy is yatsu, a word which sounds very similar to yashi. Wordplay of this sort was extremely popular in the mid-2000s net culture, and so using yashi for yatsu was popular online. The original meaning of the word yashi is a traveling merchant that appears at festivals or roadside events. There were a surprising number of hits, about 30 actually. Was it a popular topic on 8chan these days? I gulped and looked at the threads one by one.
Phantasm FES?
Most of the threads contained the terms phantasm or FES. I also saw the term new gen a lot, and there was something about prophetic lyrics and murders too. I searched and found out that Phantasm was a 4-person goth punk band based in Shibuya. They were popular on the indie music scene, and their female vocalist used the stage name FES. So she's a singer. I decided to see what that band had to do with seeing the future. The top thread was titled Prophecy Future Sight, Phantasm General, New Gen 43. I decided to read it. Black Mass. a ceremony held by Satan worshippers, sometimes also called a Sabbat. At a black mass, everything is done in the opposite manner of a normal Catholic mass. When the mass begins, Satan himself appears in the form of a huge goat. The witches proceed to kiss the goat's buttocks, drink wine mixed with the blood of babies, read from dark grimoires, and indulge in acts of sexual depravity. One theory says that sexually repressed priests and theologians invented the concept as a delusion in order to persecute heretics. Yeah, that sounds fucking Anonymous Prophet. Mochitsuke, guys. What you need to do is get your ass to Sunday's concert. Experience every moment of FES's Black Mass. Otherwise, you'll get crucified yourself, lol. Anonymous Prophet in. Where are these? Oh, these Anonymous Prophet in are just different people, I guess. I read the lyrics. Actually, no, I think they're this. The first two are the same. The idea is the same. And then you have like different IDs later. Okay. I read the lyrics and I gotta say they didn't do it for me. They're so vague and you can't even call them a prophecy. Please don't crucify me. Okay, thanks, lol. Wait, so was it the same guy? The IDs match. Future Sight. Lol, you guys are making shit up. She's a vocalist, not freaking Nostradamus. Just enjoy the music. I like FES's music. FES's lyrics. They're so new gen. Believer. Someone who believes in someone or something. Believers in late 2000s Japanese internet culture referred to anyone who was a hardcore fan of something, often a game or an anime character. You guys talking about FES and ignoring Ryo, the composer? Poor guy. Or is it RYO? Am I supposed to say RYO? I feel like Ryo is easier to say. FES Tan, pant. Your lyrics taught me the meaning of life. You FES believers are weird. Good point. You know what I'd like though? Is to have FES call me a dirty pig in that cold, quiet voice of hers while she digs her boot heel into my ass. It makes me feel so much pain my eyes pop out of my head. I want to get off while she spits in my face and then slits my throat with a knife and tells me I don't deserve to live. Jesus Christ. FES-Ton is my wife. There's a special thread for you freaks. Also, FES is my wife. Don't dump this thread, shitface. Don't bump this thread, rather. This is what you mean by the new gen prophecy? Followers guided by the light of the moon, a path of illusions that leads to this place. The shouts soon turn to silence, feeling peace as you fall, two hands clasping in the wind. I'm anti-phantasm, BTW. Their fans are scary, lol. It's like they're all brainwashed or something. Brainwashing. Forcibly altering a person's beliefs or ideology via violent methods. This violence can take forms both physical, like imprisonment, threats, drugs, etc., and mental, making the person feel guilty, or verbal violence. Brainwashing is a more powerful method of changing someone's personality than mind control. It's crazy. Her fans are gonna murder you in your sleep, dumbass, lol. Don't share the liquor, idiot. Read the room, dumbass chew. The lyrics were... Well, you could interpret them as referring to the group dive, depending on how you look at it. Wait, let's look at it again. Does it say it? Oh no, can I go up? I can't go up. I can't like look at it again. Whatever. And the lyrics had been published 2 months ago. In other words, they weren't written after the group dive.
これが予知ってこと？
I don't even remember what I read as far as the lyrics were concerned. I have to look at it again. Wasn't it just a coincidence? Was Phantasm working with the demon girl too? I read more of the log and found that all 3 of the new gen cases had been prophesized by the lyrics. Achan didn't have lyrics for the pregnant man and crucified cases though. There seemed to be some kind of thing where you weren't supposed to upload them to the internet. If you really wanted to know what they were, you had to go to a concert and buy the album. Either way, there were any number of discussions online trying to predict the outcome of the next New Gen murder based on Phantasm's lyrics. Their album, published on an indie label, had been selling extremely well after the New Gen incident started. Some observers in the media had noticed that Phantasm now appeared sometimes in articles about the cult hit with the Shibuya youth. FES was the one who wrote the lyrics. You pronounced it like first half of festival, supposedly. Her real name wasn't known. So Fess? Really? So I'm supposed to say Fess? I kind of like saying FES. Maybe she was a demon girl. If she was, then that would explain how she was able to predict the murders months in advance. She was the one who'd carried them out after all. I did an image search but couldn't find a picture of her face. All the photos from her concerts were taken with crappy cell phone cameras. They were too blurry to get a good look at her. I wiped the sweat from my brow with my t-shirt again. Frustration, fear, a desire to believe nothing, a desire to see nothing. All these feelings came together. It made it hard to breathe. I was still panting. I needed to see Fez's face. I don't like saying Fez. Can I just say FES? Apparently it's supposed to be like festival, so Fes. I needed to see Fess's face. With trembling hands on the keyboard, I went to Phantasm's official site. It was a simple design with a black background. The font was a blood red crimson, with a terrifying, ominous feel to it. The site itself had very little in the way of information, just a simple concert schedule and a discography. There were no profiles of the band members, and no lyrics.
やっぱり犯人だけあってネットに顔写真が流出しないようにしてるのか。
Maybe? She was clever. A look at their schedule showed me that they seemed to do concerts every 2 weeks. The next one was
あさって。
day after tomorrow. Are we gonna go? If I went, I'd be able to see if Fez was the demon girl. But what good would that do? Was I going to turn her over to the police? Beg her to leave me alone? Did I take a cross and try to exorcise her? Not a chance. I couldn't do any of those things. She was a demon. Creepy otaku like me couldn't beat her. If I lost, I would die. My corpse would become another disgusting piece of art, and photos of it would be uploaded to a new gen aggregator site.
そんなのやだ。
No, but if I didn't go, I wouldn't know why I was in the image that Shogun had sent me. And maybe if Fez wasn't working with the demon girl, I could ask for help.
けどやっぱり無理だ。ライブなんて行けるわけがない。
Yo, Taku, you're about to go to a concert, bro? I went to exactly one concert in my life. Long fucking time ago. It was actually a Hatsune Miku concert. It was great. I had a lot of fun there. Very crowded. I went with my sister, actually. Had to take the train to get there. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I liked it. I'd never been to one in my entire life. Especially in a concert hall that was cramped and dark and loud and filled with people. Just imagining it made me want to vomit. I didn't know what to do. prickling on my neck was still there. It had gone from a tingling numbness to a burning pain. When I looked behind me, of course, nobody was there.
もうやめてよ。
I closed my eyes and waited for the gaze to go away. I refused to have this sensation following me for the rest of my life. Someday it might get strong enough to actually kill me.
考えろ、匠。僕にできることを考えろ。
What can you do? I hid myself behind a lamppost and stared at a club called Gigantes. In the end, I'd spent the whole day thinking and worrying about it before finally deciding to go. Gigantes was in a distinctive red brick building near the Shibuya train tracks. Its exterior was lit up in a way that made it feel old, like something that would have been popular in the 70s or 80s. I had no idea that there was still a place like this in Shibuya. It was just 5 minutes from the station, but there were barely any people around. Sometimes I could hear a train passing above. Vibrations from the loud noise would shake the lamppost I was hiding behind. Until a moment ago, there had been a lot of people out front, wearing outfits that could be easily mistaken for cosplay. Well, maybe not a lot of them. It was surprising how relatively few of them there were. For all that talk of the internet about Phantasm, there were probably only 100 or so people here. Alright, pigeons. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. They were all inside now. The concert had started. The sound didn't reach the outside though, so it was still dead quiet. Is that the gaze again? The nervous sensation in my heart that had started yesterday had only gotten worse when I arrived here. It hurt so much to breathe that I was beginning to wonder if I had some kind of heart disease. No, the reason was much simpler than that. It was dark around here. The demon girl or her servants could be lurking anywhere. I was desperately scanning the area around me, looking for anyone who might be about to jump me. What is that picture that looks like a face? It's like plastered everywhere. It's like really spooky. Being there made me feel as tense as being in the Wands volcanic labyrinth in ESO. The Wands volcanic labyrinth was full of overpowered enemies, and the area itself was filled with lava. The slightest touch of lava meant instant death. That's fucked up. Really? Right away? Not it doesn't just slightly eat away at your health as long as you're touching it? That's fucked up. How many times had I died in that zone? I wiped the sweat off my forehead with a hand towel and gulped. The door at the top of the stairs to Gigantes opened, and for a moment I could hear the sound of drums being violently pounded on. I wanted to hear it! A boy came out the door. He ran down the stairs and over to me.
Yo, Taku. Matta ka?
Oh, he's here. I was the one who'd invited him to this concert. I didn't know his cell number, so I'd been forced to go to school that day and talk to him. So he ended up going after all. I don't think I could have gotten to Gigantes without him. And even if I had, if the demon girl was inside, it would be game over the minute I opened the door. That's why I'd enlisted him as a scout. It felt like I was using him, and I did feel a little guilty. Not that I said anything to him about it, of course. The only ones I could ask were him and Nanami. I opted for the one who'd be less obnoxious, which meant Misumi. I would pay for his ticket. In other words, I'd be basically hiring him for 1,000 yen.
ほらよ。これ CD な。俺自分の分も買っちまったよ。
He handed me a copy of Phantasm's album. They were going for a huge premium online, but I'd read on Atchen that you could buy one at a concert, so I decided to have Masumi get one for me. And he was able to get it pretty easily, huh? Now half my goal was accomplished. The other half was.
いやー、予想以上にいいな、ファンタズムって。
Gonna have to actually listen to it. He just left the concert hall and seemed a little excited.
俺、あんまミーハーになりたくなかったんで聞こうとしなかったんだけどよ。今日ちょっと生で聞いただけでファンになっちまった。
The other thing I'd asked him to do was describe the band members for me. They'd all come out as soon as the concert began, so all he'd need to do was take a quick look and report back to me. But I hadn't seen him for 5 whole minutes after the concert had started. It seemed like the reason for that was him decided to listen to their first song.
特にボーカル。ありゃマジでいい女だぜ。
Uh-oh.
お前、女見る目あるな。
Yeah, Misumi was only ever going to think about things with his little head. So much for not liking what's popular.
どんな人だった？
ああ、そっか。報告な。なんか探偵みてえで面白いな。そう思わねえ？
A little bit like a detective, sure. He grinned and began to describe Fez to me.
髪型はショートカットだった。
Cut short. That didn't match the demon girl at all. Did that mean Fez wasn't the demon girl then? No, wait. It was too soon to be sure. You could always cut your hair, or add extensions if you wanted. She might have been in disguise when I'd run into her at the murder scene. Hair extensions. A type of wig that lengthens a person's hair. Primarily used by women for fashion purposes.
スタイルがすっげえ良くて、あと背が高かったな。ありゃ俺と同じぐらいはあるんじゃねえの？
Yeah, but how tall are you? I don't know what that means for me.
背が。
About Misumi's height. Misumi's height wasn't much different from mine. So Fez was about 170 centimeters tall. Pretty tall for a girl. But when I'd run into the demon girl, she hadn't seemed especially tall to me. My memories weren't really that clear, but she seemed to be shorter than I was. Another thing that didn't match.
他には？
そうだな。アンニュイな雰囲気してたな。
And Yui.
声はクールってイメージかな。結構ボソボソと喋るタイプだった。胸のサイズはまあまあ。
Pretty big? Ugh, excuse me.
でもゴスパンの服は妙な色気があったぜ。ああいうのもありだな。断然あり。
This fucking guy. It was no good. Just hearing someone else describe her wasn't going to be good enough. I'd only gotten a quick glance at the demon girl anyway. I don't think I could have described her even if you asked me to. Maybe this whole plan was a waste of time. You're gonna have to go in there and look.
っていうかよ。そんなにフェスに興味あるなら自分の目で見ればいいじゃねえか。
You're
行こうぜ。
gonna have to go. Misumi pushed me up the stairs of Gigantes. I tried to resist, but he was stronger than me, and I couldn't escape.
待って。
Here we go.
見たいんだろう、フェスの顔を。素直になるって。浮気ってのは男の差がだよな。タクも大人になったもんだぜ。
Cheating is what makes you a real man? Are you fucking for real, man? He thinks he's cheating on Yuan. And no, it doesn't make you a real man, it makes you an asshole.
この前一緒に帰ってたメガネの子のことは今夜だけは気にすんなって。
That's crazy.
俺も田中のことは忘れるからよ。
What was he talking about? I tried to resist, but I realized it was too late. We were already at the top of the stairs. It was only a single floor off the ground. But if I struggled here and slipped, a fall would hurt bad. The thought made me stop struggling. When I stopped resisting, Misumi shoved me through the door and into the concert hall. When I went inside, my ears were assaulted with a wave of sound. I'd never experienced anything this loud. I could feel it shaking the bottom of my stomach, and the vibrations felt like they threatened to tear me apart. There weren't any seats, everyone was standing. The audience rocked their bodies in time with the rhythm, and I could hear cries of Fez, Fez in time with the music. Their movements weren't as coordinated as the otage you saw at idol concerts, but they were still really impressive. Otage. Special calls or dance moves performed by some fans at idol concerts or other otaku-oriented events. Some of these performances are incredibly elaborate, and each of the movements is given a name. If you're lucky enough to see a row of fans doing an otage in perfect harmony, it's a sight you'll never forget. The intensity was incredible. I felt like I was about to throw up from the heat of so many bodies. I was an otaku, but not an idol or voice actress otaku, so to be honest, I didn't like concerts like this. The one saving grace was that nobody was looking at me, but I couldn't deny that I was terribly out of place here. There were so many people that couldn't get a clear look at the stage. The most I could make out were the silhouettes of 4 people standing under bright stage lights. As I stood there overwhelmed, Mizumi handed me a plastic cup with some soda in it. He must have paid for my ticket. I'd have to pay him back later. And then the song ended. A wave of cheers and applause went up from the audience. Finally, everyone lowered their raised fists. I had a clear view of the stage. I could get a clear look at the short-haired girl up there. She definitely wasn't the demon girl.
今日はいつもより調子いいわ。
I recognize her in Steins Gate. She's you could change the background of your phone. Her sprite is one of the backgrounds that you can pick. Okay. So it's Fez. The background was Fez. That is fucking cool. It is her. She's like heavily makeuped. But I mean, like, it's her. The other one, when we saw the short white-haired girl, they called her Fez. So this is her.
声がクリアに聞こえる。
Hear the voices clearly.
世界がとても澄んでいる。
Her voice, picked up by the amplifier and coming through the speakers, was nothing like the demon girl's either. Fez had, as Mizumi said, a sense of ennui about her. She didn't seem boyish, despite her short hair. She had a strange aura that was simultaneously cute and seductive, but also aloof. The accessories on her body reflected in the lights and gleamed silver, giving her a strange, unearthly look, like something from a fairy tale. I could understand why she was so popular on 8chan. You'd expect a singer like her to be loud and passionate, or so I assumed, but Fez was calm as she spoke into the mic. It was the complete opposite of the excitement of the crowd. Maybe that was just her personality. But the audience knew better than to shout over her. There was silence as she spoke, and everyone listened.
呼吸と性の門が閉じているからかもしれない。
Cocytus. Is that Greek? It is Greek. One of 2 rivers found at the entrance to the underworld in Greek mythology. Its name means the river of wailing. The dead cross this river to enter the underworld. Yeah. I knew I recognized the name. The gate to Cocytus. What did she say? Cocytus? What language was that?
世界の均衡は
The planet's...
大いなる意志が生まれてから数千年間保たれていた。
The Great Will.
でも今それは崩れつつある。とても不安定。だから私は歌うわ。君たちのカオスを受け入れてあげる。
Take their chaos. Oh, now I understood. She was speaking in character. It was a goth punk thing. Maybe she was trying to say stuff that sounded ominous, even if you didn't know what it meant. It would make her seem kind of mystical, and help her connect better with her fans. In fact, fact, Fez was holding something strange in her hand. In her left hand was a normal mic, but in her right was a strange mic stand that looked like some kind of sword. It had a strange form with flowing curves that felt alien and dangerous, and it looked so sharp that even touching it might threaten to sever a finger. It was huge, just as big as she was. The glass embedded into the stand glowed with a strange pale light. I wasn't sure if it was even a mic stand, but it was the perfect prop to help define her character. I found myself strangely unable to take my eyes off it. Bez raised the huge mic stand above her head, and with an underhand grip, she swung it in an arc in front of her. The pale light of the glass made a half circle in the air. That was really dangerous. What if it hit someone? Maybe it wasn't a mic stand, but a sword. And maybe, she would cut off the head of a member of the audience each night in order to offer up their still warm blood to the demon girl. Probably not. That would make this whole concert a black mass led by witches. Began to shiver. Maybe it would be better to just leave now.
次は3曲目。密教の首飾り。
Esoteric necklace. Another huge cheer went up from the audience. Bro, look at that sword. And am I about to get muted because of the music? Bro, she's fucking singing the intro. I'm gonna get fucking muted, aren't I? Well, I'm recording. Well, I think if as long as I'm talking, it might be okay. The members of the band all began to move at once, and the flood of sound hit my ears again. It felt like it was going to destroy my eardrums. How did they all keep from going deaf? I looked to my side and Mizumi was having a great time, raising his fist to the rhythm along with the rest of the audience. The intro ended and Fez began to sing, and the lyrics made me freeze. This was a prophetic song that I'd seen on Atchan. It was a dark song without a glimmer of hope to be found in it. Maybe it was partially the lyrics too, but the melody felt almost religious. As the song progressed, the crowd's cheers faded, and before long they were silent. All of them were listening intently, however, and some of them even seemed to be gazing at Fez in a kind of ecstasy. There was certainly something in her voice that drew you to her. Even as I fought against my fear of the crowd and the urge to vomit, I was listening to make sure I heard her sing. Somehow... Alright, it stopped. I have to check. I hope I don't get muted. Maybe I should just run the ad now so that it kind of buffers out in case I got muted. Somehow the temperature of the room seemed to drop to below freezing in an instant. The song ended. Fez looked down, her body swaying from side to side, immersing herself in the last seconds of the song. Then she suddenly raised her head, and without any doubt or hesitation, looked right at me. Oh, fuck. Here we go. I don't mean our eyes met for a moment, or that she was looking in my direction. She was clearly looking straight at me. Oh shit. Do I do a delusion or not? So the last delusions that I did was a green, a red, and a green. I mean, I don't think there's any real logic or I try to parse Like, what would it mean for this to be a positive or this to be a negative? Literally, I tried to figure out what a positive for Sarah would be. And the fucking positive was him getting his organs and stuff sucked out of his mouth from her kissing him. And that was the positive. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that? So, I don't think there's any... There's no way I can guess. Like, there's no fucking way that I can guess anything. It's like, what do you want? Do you want it to be positive or negative? Staring as if trying to see all she could. As if trying to see who I was. As if trying to see into my heart. So far, my choices were red, green, neutral, neutral, green, red, green. I did 3 greens, I did 2 reds, and I did 2 neutrals. I mean, honestly, I get the impression that it might not entirely matter which one I pick. There's no way I'm going to be able to predict what happens. Like, I can't. That last one was Sarah. That last one was Sarah and proved to me that there is no fucking way I can predict what a positive or a negative might be. Because I would never have guessed her kissing him and then sucking out all of his organs to make him flat. And that he would like it. Apparently, he called it a naughty dream. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So... Well, the ads are about to come back. So I'll run the ads and I'll think about what I want to do. Either green, red, or neutral. So, we'll see. But I'll put up the ads first. You know what? How about we just go red? Fuck it! Fuck it! Let's go red. This could be interesting. The goth punk singer, who apparently is a psychic and can like sing about the future or something. Fuck it, we're gonna go red. Let's see, FES concert. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's see what happens. Her gaze was so powerful and for some reason kind of sad. The next thing I knew, I was walking slowly on top of a roof somewhere. The wind was strong, and the rain was crashing sideways into my body. But for some strange reason, I didn't feel cold. I recognized the place. I'd been here several times. That's right, this was the school's roof. I looked around. There wasn't much to see up here, and the rain made it hard to see anything at all. The whole place didn't feel real. Like the world itself was blurry here. Oh, there she is without all the makeup. I was looking beyond the fence surrounding the roof. Fez was there. She was soaking wet and facing me from the other side of it. She had the same look in her eyes that she'd had during the concert. She was looking right at me. The sword-like mic stand was still in her right hand. That's not a mic stand. The wind blew up from below, rustling her wet hair. If she lost balance even a little, she'd be sure to fall. And if she fell from this height, she'd die instantly. Just looking at her made me feel weak in the knees. But Fez was standing up straight, seemingly not scared at all. She looked at me with sadness in her eyes. Her left hand, the one that wasn't holding the mic stand, reached out to me. Jump with me, she seemed to be saying. couldn't say a word. I didn't know what to do. Fez said nothing. Then she spread out her arms as if she'd been nailed to a cross. The rain and wind suddenly stopped. I tried to shout, but nothing came out. I couldn't say a word. Fez slowly fell backwards. Everything was happening in slow motion. I tried to somehow reach out a hand toward her, but my own movements were in slow motion too. All I could do was watch helplessly as my arms slowly stretched out. Fez's eyes were already closed, and then she vanished from my sight.
鬱だ。
Yeah, very depressing. I knew I was the one who'd created it, but man, what a depressing ending. I guess that was just a sign of how incredible the aura around Fez was. That was it! You see, bro, like, I was expecting something psychotic to be going on. Something fucking crazy, like the last two things that we saw. I mean, that was nuts in its own way, but it wasn't the intensity that I thought it could be. So, like, it's literally a matter of if I think I should have a delusion going on or not. So, yeah. She had this kind of destructive beauty. Not that I had any idea what destructive beauty actually was. Lol, sorry. In the end, I'd gotten sick from the crowd and fled the concert hall. Why are we still hearing the heartbeat? So, I'd barely seen any of it, and I never wanted to go again. Now then, time to play some ESO and forget that depressing delusion. ESO was my life. It was a place where I could feel at home. A place that would help me forget all the awful things that happened in reality. Inside ESO, I could forget all the bad things that happened. I ceased to be me and became Nightheart, free to travel as I wished in Baselard. But today, Nightheart wasn't doing so good. Of course, I knew it was my fault. The problem was with my own judgment and reaction times. But I was failing at things I could normally do easily. I was playing to make myself feel better, but I was just feeling worse.
なんだよこいつ。捨てるぞお前。
Don't do that. I knew it was my own fault, but I still yelled at Nightheart. He's fucking up all the rotations. He's getting clipped in the hitboxes. He's not getting out in time. What a fucking rookie.
ああもうムカつく。
I tore at my hair and kicked the exposed metal plating that formed the wall of my room. After working on my anger, I sighed and leaned back into my chair. I stared at the monitor, only half paying attention to what was on the screen. Nightheart was no longer under my control. He was standing at the entrance of Shangri City, facing in a random direction with his back turned to me, not moving an inch. I always fought the enemies like this, with his back to me. Nightheart's experience points were maxed out, of course.
僕の経験値っていくつなんだろう。
How many points? Let's see. 100,000. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1.2 billion? Yeah. 1.2 billion experience points. And how much money? He has 10 million money. I mean, maybe that's a lot in the context of the game. Maybe it's not. Had the person named Takumi Nishijo grown at all since I'd started ESO? No, since I'd even been born? If I had, why was it so hard to talk to people? Why was I living a life that was one step away from being a total hikikomori? If I didn't log in for a few weeks, would Nightheart become a hikikomori too? Whose eyes are those? For some reason, as I looked at Nightheart's back, I remembered those words. I started to wonder what Nightheart did when I wasn't controlling him. I kept my hands off the keyboard for a while, eating my stale chips and watching him.
もしナイトハルトに自我があるとしたら
He'd be walking tall through the city of Shangri, head held high. He was a hero, and everyone loved him.
ねえナイトハルト
Let's go with
僕は
positive.
いつでもお前を見てるんだぞ
Let's go. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do... Nightheart. I'm gonna do G. Let's see. Hopefully this is good. I'm always watching you, you know.
お前はそれに気づいてるの
And then... I hadn't typed anything into the keyboard, but Nightheart was talking. Let's go to the 2D world. I thought I was hallucinating and rubbed my eyes, but the text remained on the chat window. Why is the music creepy? I was hoping that it'd be fun. Also referred to as seeing things and sometimes used to refer to optical illusions. A phenomenon where the brain knows that a particular piece of visual information is incorrect, but still can't help but see it. One famous example would be the Mueller-Lyer illusion. It's hypothesized that the cause of these hallucinations is a gap between what the brain predicts should be there, based on past experience, and what it's actually seeing. The information received by the eyes is transmitted to the cerebrum via the optic nerves. However, seeing is a process of constructing a representation of the outside world based on sensory data. And this involves passing the data through the filter of what the brain believes should be there. One theory says that humans ignore 99% of the sensory information they receive. If someone ever did try to process all 100% of incoming sensory information, it's said that it would drive them insane. Why is the music creepy? Why is it creepy? I was hoping that it was going to be fun. We were going to go on an adventure with Nightheart, and it's doing creepy fucking music. I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. 2D world.
それって僕に言ってるの
You can be a hero too. Let's fight side by side.
ちょ
You're not interested in anything 3D, right?
いやそうだけど
If Nightheart was talking to me, the person inside me, the player, was often referred to the voice actor of a character in an anime or game. It can also be sometimes used to refer to the staff of a company or organization. The term is said to come from a line in a certain famous manga that goes, "There is no person inside." There is no person inside. Is that a reference to something real? I don't know. Did that mean he had a will of his own? Touch your monitor, and then you can come to Baseline
だが断る
as Takumi Nishijo. The password is, whose eyes are those? But I refuse.
二次元世界に行くならせっかくだから僕はエロゲの世界を選ぶぜ
You know what? I don't even blame him. I actually don't even blame him. If you're going to be stuck in a game, it may as well be one where you're knee deep in, well, you know.
バゼラードはお前に任せるよナイトハルト
I answered, then powered off my computer. Oh, I guess that's the end of the delusion. Man, yes, that was kind of lame too. That was kind of a lame... Like, I picked green because I thought a positive one would be, like, kind of interesting. But that one was lame. Nothing really happened. Man. I'll tell it just as it happened. I went to school today, and then when it was over, I found myself buying a cell phone with my little sister. Alright, so we're finally getting the phone. You might not understand what I'm talking about. I didn't understand when it happened to me either.
お兄何ブツブツ言ってんの？それよりほらこの機種はどうかって聞いてるんだけど。
I like the music that comes up when she's there. It's cute. God, I wanted to go home. How many times would I have to tell her that I didn't want a cell phone before it sunk in? I like it, it's cute. When I got to school today, she'd barged right into my classroom. Wow, look who actually came to school today, she'd said, and then she'd ordered me to come buy a phone with her. After school, I tried to escape before she could find me, but I'd forgotten how fast she could be. She'd easily found me, caught up to me, and dragged me to a shop in front of the station. I didn't want to go anywhere near the station. I never did. Every time I went, I felt like I'd throw up any minute now. Nanami didn't know or care about how I felt, though. She was looking at all the different display models and muttering to herself. I couldn't understand why Nanami would care about what kind of phone I got.
これ色が結構可愛いじゃん。いいと思うな。
She asked my opinion and I gave the obvious answer.
それっていい？
He just picked one.
うん、でもな、お兄にはちょっと可愛すぎかも。似合わなさそう。
Maybe it's a little too cute. I told her it was fine with it and she didn't listen. I'd lost count of how many times I told her I was okay with whatever model she wanted. She asked my opinion, but didn't seem interested in listening to it. That was the problem with 3D women.
お兄、大丈夫？やっぱり人の多さにやられちゃった？マクディで休もうか？
MacD's? MacD's? You want me to go into a fast food chain that's full of Dokuns? That would be even worse than this place. I furiously shook my head.
そっか。じゃあなるべく早めに決めるね。でもちょっと迷っちゃっててさ。
I sighed and decided to leave her behind, so I could go home. She was staring intently at the rows of cell phones, which gave me an opportunity to slip away. I started to walk toward the 107 when I saw something so startling I came to a stop. What was that? The other side of the huge crowd of people, on the steps to the 107 building, there was a girl who stood out from the rest. I can't tell from here. What's he looking at? Was she holding a sword? Its colors and the way it looked reminded me of the mic stand that Fez had been holding during the concert. It was probably from the same product line, I assumed. It sure was a big sword, though. It might have been even longer than the ones Fez had been holding. The girl with the sword was, surprisingly, wearing a Suime uniform. From this distance, I couldn't make out her face. Even though she was holding something so huge and attention-grabbing, she was standing there calmly as she looked down at the people below her. Yeah, I'm suspecting that they don't actually see the thing that they're holding, and that whatever it is that's about him, he can perceive it, but everyone else is not able to. Either they can't perceive it, or to them it looks like something else. Something like ordinary. So that it wouldn't be like suspicious. It must have taken a ton of courage to do that. I was really impressed, seriously. Carrying a huge toy sword like that in the middle of Shibuya? Wasn't that incredibly embarrassing? That sword was probably an accessory for some new anime cosplay. Of course, I kept an eye on all the new anime that's coming out. Was there anything with a sword like that this season? Had I missed it? There was no way I would ever be able to carry something like that through the middle of Shibuya. But it was a really sweet sword. I kind of wanted one. I wondered if they were selling them in Akihabara. Maybe online?
Oni?
Uh-oh. I suddenly took a heavy elbow to the back. I almost crumpled to the ground in pain. I turned around to see Nanami looking at me, arms crossed in anger.
もしかして逃げようとした？
Busted.
確かにナナが選ぶのに時間かけすぎたのは悪いと思うけどさ。だからってナナを置き去りにして逃げようとするなんてひどいよ。
Yeah, stop being an asshole. I shook my head, or tried to anyway.
お兄のバカ、携帯の電磁波の浴びすぎで腎臓を悪くして死んじゃえ。
Oh my god! Is that still a thing? Waves which can... Electromagnetic waves. Waves which contain both electric and magnetic properties, whose existence was predicted theoretically in 1864 by Maxwell. Mutual interaction between these two properties causes space itself to vibrate, radiating out like a wave. For this reason, it is also called electromagnetic radiation. Different frequencies of EM waves can become radio waves, infrared rays, visible light, ultraviolet rays, X-rays, or gamma rays. As for the possibility that EM waves may harm the human body, the World Health Organization has stated that there is no scientific evidence of a causal connection. This also means, however, that there is no scientific evidence establishing that there isn't a causal connection. You know, it's so easy to be contrarian. Instead of trying to prove that it is, they're like, okay, but there's no proof that it isn't, right? What was she talking about?
一生懸命お兄のために選んであげてたナナがバカみたいじゃん。
Aww.
こうなったらもう適当に決める。お兄なんてナナと同じ機種で十分だよ。
Just the same one? She grabbed me by the arm, hard.
本気で今日契約するんだからね。それまで絶対逃がさない。
Oh, contract.
わかったよ。話せよ。
わかったならさっさと来て。
I had no idea why this was such a big deal to her. She really was an annoying little sister. In the end, all that time she spent picking a phone was totally wasted, as she just ended up getting me the same one she had. After an hour or so of signing contracts and filling out paperwork, damn, it really takes that long. I tried to take my phone and go, but Nanami stopped me.
ナナが初期設定してあげるからマクディやろ。
She ignored my protestations and grabbed me by the collar, dragging me to the nearest MacD's.
どうせお兄携帯持って帰っても電源入れずにほったらかしにするに決まってるんだから。
Yeah, she called you out.
ナナがちゃんと使えるようにしてあげる。
Damn it! She was really determined to make me miserable. Why did it have to be a MacD's? You know, it's so funny. I fucking know that he's being like kind of a prick, an asshole about the phone. He's like, I don't need it, I don't want it, blah, blah, blah. But we're gonna run into a situation where he's gonna be really fucking glad that he has that phone. It's gonna happen. MacD's in Shibuya was hell. There would always be way too many people, and it would be incredibly loud, with a Dokyun ratio off the charts. A group of 3 Dokyun-looking brown-haired mothers and their kids were sitting at the table next to me. You see what I mean? I mentioned this in one of the streams before, where Dokyun... What does it say? Dokyun was like one of the first ones. Dokyun. A thug, bully, or someone who's part of the dregs of society. This is what it means, right? Meanwhile, you literally have, in a MacD's, you have moms. You just have moms with their kids sitting at a table. they're eating fucking Happy Meals, and he's calling them dokyuns. He calls everybody that. Like, as far as he's concerned, everybody is a thug or a bully from the dregs of society. Like, that's... Like, fuck, man. Like, come on. They're kids, and all three were little brats with red streaks dyed in their hair. Were running around the store screaming. Their mothers were simply ignoring them. At another table, 4 dokyun-looking teenage boys were laughing loudly in their obnoxious voices. Like, he says dokyun-looking teenage boys, and to me that's like they're just kids. They're just teenagers hanging out after school. 2 high school girls in loose socks were sitting across from each other, both staring at their phones. They weren't talking. Next to them, a middle-aged salaryman was lying head down on a table snoring. He was clearly skipping work. A table a little farther away was even stranger. A group of 5 boys and girls in elementary school had their backpacks on the ground and were dangling their legs as they happily chatted with one another. A group date. You're in elementary school and you're on a group date? It was people I wanted nothing to do with as far as the eye could see. It was amazing that Nanami could feel at home here. The sheer number of people were making my head hurt, and I felt like I was going to vomit. How many times have I said that phrase, I'm going to vomit? Why did I have to be here with my sister at a MacD's anyway?
ねえねえ、着信メロディーはどうする？なんか希望ある？
Can I pick? She wasn't even looking at me, just playing with my phone.
アニソン
There you go. There you go. You see? There's a spark of an interest there. There you go. An anime song. Why not?
却下。
Oh, come on. No. You gotta give him that. You gotta give that to him.
そんなだからお兄はオタクさん
No, come on. You gotta give it to him. You were the one who asked me. It's my phone anyway. Let me put what I want on it. Yeah. No. I'm with him actually. This time I'm with him. Let him put the fucking song that he wants.
あ、そうだ。大村彼らの新曲にしたら？あれすっごくいい曲だよ。最近のナナのお気に入り。
Karera Omura.
それこそ却下だ。
うん、まあお兄に大村彼らは似合わないか。
She cruelly insulted her older brother as she bit into a French fry. She'd ordered a fish sandwich combo, even though we hadn't had dinner yet. I'd had to pay too. For my part, I felt too sick to even consider eating anything. It wasn't fair.
あ、そうそう。それとね。
For some reason, she pulled her bag up to her lap and began to look through it.
お、あったあった。
And then she took out
ゲロカエルンの不良品
defective. Does it not have a strap? Is that why?
不良品じゃないよ。
It's not defective.
先週出たギョロリゲロカエルン。
Oh, it's bug-eyed. I didn't even notice. The other one wasn't bug-eyed. Okay. It's a bug-eyed ghetto froggy. Alright, it's cute. It's cute in a really ugly way.
は
知らないんだ。やっぱ遅れてるな、お兄は。ゲロカエルンって毎週金曜日に新作が発売されてるんだよ。
Every Friday there's a new one? How the fuck do you keep up with that?
もう全部で12種類ぐらいあるんだから。
12. So it's new? Wait, did they mention that it was new? And I'm just not remembering it? I don't remember. I guess it is new. So it's only like 3 months. Really? Was there enough demand for a new one every week?
ナナが携帯につけてるのは最初に出た普通のゲロカエルンでしょ。
A normal GERO Froggy, the first
で
one.
次がデブッチョゲロカエルンで、その次がカクカクゲロカエルン。
Oh my god. Okay, you know what? If this was real, I'd probably fall for that too. I would get it every week. A fat one and a blocky one? She quickly ran off the names of the various GERO Froggies.
第4弾がのっぺらゲロカエルンで、第5弾が輝くゲロカエルン。
No face? And radiant like it glowed.
第6弾が一番人気があって、猫ゲロカエルンっていうの。
Kitty GERO Froggy?
その
Aw.
後が幽霊ゲロカエルン、眠るゲロカエルン、燃えるゲロカエルン、
Zombie?
ゾンビゲロカエルン、酔っ払いゲロカエルン。
Drunk? What the fuck does drunk GERO Froggy look like? Like it has a bottle attached to the hand? Oh, you know what? Maybe it has like the X's on the eyes? Because sometimes you'd see that, like if someone was drunk, it'd be like X's. Or they'd be like a blush, like he was drunk. Wow, had she memorized them all? Wait a second, did that mean...
お前コンプリートしてるの？
I want the complete set.
もちろんだよ。全部集めなきゃ意味ないもん。
He doesn't get... Listen, he doesn't get to say anything. He's got an entire shelf full of figures. He does not get to say anything about her having her own collection of GERO Froggies. Okay? It's like, nah. You don't get to fucking say shit about that.
毎週買うのに行列ができるんだからね。
For this lazily, sloppily made product, to be honest, I could have probably come up with a better design. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. You literally could not. Why had she started giving me a lecture about GERO Froggy anyway?
というわけで、このギョロリゲロカエルンあげる。
She's giving him the bug-eyed froggy?
なんで？
It's a spare. She got an extra one.
このストラップを携帯につければ、少しは女子から「お、やるな」っていう目で見てもらえるから。
You might actually impress a girl. She began to attach it to my phone despite my obvious disapproval.
コンプしなきゃ意味ないんだろ。僕がそれもらったらお前揃わないぞ。
心配しなくても大丈夫。2つ買ったもん。
She had this planned out.
毎回2つ買ってるのか？
I was really starting to worry about her sense of taste.
今回だけだよ。お兄の携帯用に余分に買ったの。
Yep, she thought ahead.
わざわざ。
Yeah, she wanted to do something nice for you. It's crazy, right?
わざわざ。
She finished attaching the strap and nodded, satisfied, before taking a sip of her drink. But then suddenly she gasped and leaned toward me.
別に並んだのはお兄のためじゃないよ。
Aw, come on.
あくまでついでなんだから。
いらない。
は
Nanami leaned forward with wide eyes. She looked ready to leap across the table at me.
あ、いらないって。ナナがわざわざ買ってきてあげたのに。
ついでだったんだろう。っていうか僕ゲロカエルンとか興味ないし、
Aw,
むしろキモいし。
Girl Froggy's cute.
だからお兄は女子にモテないんだよ。
So uncool. I thought she was going to slap me, but instead she calmly sat down and began to nibble on her fries.
でも抵抗しても無駄だからね。ギョロリゲロカエルンもうくっつけちゃったもん。
You don't get to remove it now. It was like she thought she was in control here. Well, I guess she was. I hated to admit it, but she knew way more about phones than me.
もし勝手に外したら毎週並んでもらうの刑だからね。
並ぶって何に？
For the next GERO Froggy.
決まってんじゃん。新作ゲロカエルンを買うための行列。2時間待ちとか普通だから。
A 2-hour wait? I don't know if I want to do that. Insane! Why did I have to be threatened by my own little sister? She kept fiddling with my phone for a while after that. It kept her quiet, so I preferred it this way.
なんだか変な気分だな。
The next time she spoke, her bad mood had disappeared. Maybe she was the type who didn't need to sleep on something unpleasant to forget about it. she could forget it after just a few minutes. What an easygoing personality she had. In a way, I was jealous.
うん、やっぱ変だよ。お兄とこうして二人で出かけるのって久しぶりな気がするもん。
It's because it was.
いつ以来かな。よく思い出せないや。お兄はいっつも部屋にこもってアニメ見てるかゲームしてるかだもんね。ま、たまにはこういうのもいいかな、新鮮で。
And yet, he's such an asshole all the time. Like, you know, she obviously wants to spend time with him, and he just wants to be a fucking dick constantly. It's weird.
さすがに毎日はナナも嫌だけど。
There it is. Not every day. Nanami put my phone on the table and picked up her fish sandwich. She happily took off the wrapper and bit it. I suddenly remembered her saying that she liked the fish sandwiches here.
せいぜい太るがいいさ。
What a dick. She suddenly froze. She was looking at me with hatred in her eyes. Oh no. And then, after a moment's hesitation, she slowly offered me the half-eaten sandwich.
半分食べる？
もう手遅れだよ。
Oh, what a fucking dick.
そういうこと言うと上司に嫌われるって覚えといた方がいいよ、バカ鬼。
Yeah, like... In the end, she ate the whole sandwich by herself. You greedy girl. Leave her alone. After that, I was forced to listen to more of her boring stories before she finally handed the phone over to me. By then, the sun had set. It had been a long, painful few hours. I was finally able to say goodbye and head home. Fall was in full swing, and the chill of the night breeze did wonders to calm my headaches and urge to vomit. Being in a crowd for a long time always made my head hurt and made me want to throw up. I wish Nanami would die. Not literally die, but, you know. She only cared about herself. She had absolutely no idea how much the things she was doing were hurting me. I was sure of that. If I could have, I would have snapped the phone in half and thrown it in the nearest garbage can. It wasn't my money, for one thing. But if I did that, Nanami would come back, with my parents in tow this time, and they'd just tell me I had to buy another one since the first one broke. I restrained my impulse to destroy the thing. Time to just go home. Go home and play some ESO. The stress had really been building up over these past few days. I hoped my peaceful daily life would come back soon. Another bizarre murder had taken place that night. The fourth New Gen murder. I was playing ESO and Grim, as usual, came to tell me. Yo, Grim. You're late tonight. Whose eyes are those? He said it. For a moment I couldn't believe my eyes. How did Grim know those words? My fingers were shaking on the keyboard. I didn't know what to say. It was all I could do to keep my eyes on the monitor as he typed. The fourth New Gen murder happened. I've been watching the... It's going too fast. No human could have done that. I can't read it. It's too fast. And there's no fuck... Okay. Okay. I was gonna say, I don't know if there's a backlog on it. Okay. First Gen murder happened. I've been watching the festival. Shibuya's going nuts, man. This one's the craziest of the lot. All the blood was drained from the victim's corpse. They found the body in the Inokashira Line Station's toilets. And what happened to the body is just messed up. All its skin turned green. Super scary. I'm starting to believe the guys who say something occult is going on at night. Going on are right. No human could have done that. I bit my lip in front of the computer. I came close to imagining it in my mind, but I managed to shake off the delusion. I took a sip of soda to calm myself down. Damn that Grim. He was deliberately trying to ambush me. I knew it. No reaction? How do you know so much about it? You're talking like you actually saw it. I did, basically. You still don't care then about New Gen? I'd rather spend my free time grinding in ESO than reading up on New Gen. That's our lightning fast Nightheart. He grinds like no mere mortal man can. Our inspiration, our idol. Really? This isn't the first time we saw grinding and they're only saying it now. The act of doing repetitive tasks within the game, often for hours and hours on end, to unlock a particular item or piece of content. More often used by MMORPG players. I didn't want to talk about New Gen, so I tried to change the subject as soon as possible. Check this out. Auction? Wait, what? God damn it, it keeps doing that. I feel like I'm gonna get trolled. Last time this had happened, he trolled me with what he'd said was a GERO image, and it turned out to be something stupid he'd drawn. It was entirely possible he'd do the opposite this time. I feel like I'm gonna get trolled. Wait, you seriously don't know? Know what? Are you actually just that far behind everyone else? Shut up. What is it? What if I told you your beloved Seidatan was involved? Like, it's not even letting me read it. It's skipping here, and I have to keep going to the backlog. Really? Then I had to look at it. Uh-oh. Well, it looked like some kind of auction site. It probably wasn't a mental browser crash or anything like bad like that, right? An image, web page, etc. that crashes a user's browser. Some of these can place extreme stress on the browser program or cause the system itself to behave in unexpected ways. In the mid-2000s, it was common to paste these onto anonymous message boards in an attempt to lure unwary users. The worst of them could even damage a user's computer. A mental browser crash is an image which causes severe psychological distress to the viewer. These images, however, do no harm to the PC itself. I clicked on the link, a little excited. Oh, here we go. Thank you for coming today, guest. Adult auction details. Swimsuits, amateur, corporate. There's a shortage of type B blood. 40,000 yen highest price. Number of bids, 0. Minimum 2,000. Amateur corporate swimsuits. There's a shortage of type B blood. What was this flyer? I'd seen it somewhere. Deja vu again. That was on the napkin. Anyway, where was the pic of Seidatan? I scrolled the mouse wheel to go down the page. Bro, what the fuck? Did he actually do that? And I was suddenly met with what was clearly a girl image. I quickly looked back toward the left monitor and closed the browser. Oh, fuck. The girl image had only been on my monitor for 3 seconds. It only really gotten a solid look at it for less than a second, but still. Bro, that's so annoying that it goes crazy like that and then I have to go to the fucking backlog. It's a pic of the 4th new gen body. It was put up on an auction site before the media had reported on the murder. You could buy the victim's brutally murdered corpse, lol. In other words, the one who posted it has to be the new gen killer. Crazy, huh? Their username for the auction was Vampire. I mean, it's probably a throwaway username though, but the whole internet's going nuts. It's getting pasted to all kinds of different message boards. They're making memes of it too. The meme craftsmen were right on top of it. Why would you just show this with... Bro, that is asshole behavior. Why would you show that and not tell him what it was? Instead, he said it was Seiratan. He deliberately lied so that he would look at it. What the fuck is your problem? That is not okay. There's a dying message in it too, in the image. Dying message. On the wall written in the victim's blood. I didn't realize that stuff was real. Maybe the killer's just doing it for the lulz. Hello, Mr. Nightheart. Did you freeze on me? I'd only gotten to see the picture for a second. Still.
ゲームだ。こんな世界は虚構のゲームの世界に違いないんだ。
Bro. The image of those red letters sloppily painted on the wall was burned into my brain. I didn't see the letters though. I try not to think about it, but each of them came into my mind in turn as if accusing me. I didn't see it. Like, I don't know what it said.
なんであの言葉が
Wait,
あの言葉がここで出てくるんだ。
is it the whose eyes are those? I knew those words well. I said those words often. They were a question I would ask no one in particular. A Grim had said them to me when I'd logged into ESO. Each of the words was common by itself, but no one else used them the way I did. Whose eyes are those? Alright, it showed like a quick... There's a quick load there, but I'm going to save it as well. Okay, I'm done for today. Holy shit. That's crazy. That body was green. It was fucking green, dude. What the hell? Yeah, that was nuts. A good way to end it. All right. Tomorrow's Friday, right? I don't know if I'm gonna stream tomorrow morning. I might just want to go to sleep. It's gonna depend on how I feel, but I'll see. Well, actually, I don't think I'm gonna stream on Friday. On Saturday morning. I do like almost midnight. So Friday night, Saturday morning, I don't think I'm going to, cuz I have actually I'm part of a discussion group with my friends. We're talking about Resident Evil 9. We did one last week, or it was like part 1. We had a huge discussion. It was mostly them though, cuz I'm not crazy about the way that they want to do it, but whatever. But we did like 6 hours last Saturday, and we're gonna finish the rest today. Hopefully, it's not gonna take too long, because we're also planning, me and one of my friends, to play Resident Evil 5 together. It's something that we like to do. We try to do it at least once a year. We didn't really get to do it last year, so that's disappointing. But we want to try to get it started this year. So this Saturday we want to get started. It's the only time I actually play Resident Evil 5, and I like playing it with him. It's always a lot of fun to play together. So that's the plan on Saturday. So I'm probably not going to do any stream on Friday night into Saturday morning. So I don't know, maybe tonight into tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning, I will come back, maybe, or maybe I'll just take the next 2 days off. And the discussion itself, I don't think I'm going to stream it, but I think I will stream when we start Resident Evil 5. I think I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's it then for today. I mean, the majority of the majority of it was we got some delusions. They were kind of lame though, or maybe I just expected too much. Maybe I expected too much. It was the Fez one at the concert. I picked red, and it was kind of just nothing. It wasn't crazy like the other ones. And then Nightheart I did green, and that one was just lame. That one was just super lame. So yeah, but then the way that ended there, we got the fourth murder in a. I think they said a subway. It was like a train station or a train area bathroom. So that's nuts. And then the whose eyes are those? Whose eyes are those? Whose eyes are those?